You know how we talk all the time about XRP versus SEC security talk? Well, what if I told you now that Stellar Lumens XLM is being considered a security by the SEC? All this because of a Grayscale XLM trust. We'll get into that. And has the market hit the bottom? I've got some interesting data, some words from insiders out there that we all respect. Gonna let us know if we've hit the bottom or if we have more pain to come. So let's leave this screen and go into this one. I've got XLM and Zcash up on the screen. Yes, Zcash, there's a reason for it. We'll get into it soon. But XLM right now down 2.5% to 10.2 cents. Let's look at the rest of the market. Rest of the market looks pretty red across the screen. All this has to do with Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and the Fed's Jerome Powell, which we will get in here shortly. But let's take a specific look at the pricing of XLM. Now, in recent days, we have seen steady pressure on XLM from the 24th on. Yes, we're going to be talking about Jerome Powell pressure and XLM as a security deemed it by the SEC. Not good news, everyone. But first, let's get in. Breaking data suggests that crypto market may witness another sell-off. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of liquidations coming into play at these price points, which are going to push the prices of crypto even lower. We also have the Fed's Jerome Powell that says, hey, the Fed is going to do whatever they have to take inflation that's at 8.5% and knock it back down to 2%. So look for interest rates going through the roof the next year plus, choking the amount of free capital out there available to buy crypto. We also have people like Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, who sees daily trading volumes and cash inflows and outflows in the crypto industry. He's even out there saying, hey, 12 to 18 months worth of pain. So combine Jerome Powell's, hey, we're going to do whatever it takes to curb inflation with raising rates, and Brian Armstrong's 12 to 18 month delay on the retail side for funds coming back in. Hey, crypto winter might be here to stay for a while. So are we going to hit a bottom? Yeah, we're not there yet, but we may have more pain coming. Look at this, the pressure of inflation. Bitcoin, despite the hype about it being digital gold, and yes, we were all sold that Bitcoin and other cryptos were inflation hedges, but listen, Bitcoin has not turned out to be an asset that performs well when inflation pressures are mounting and interest rates are spiking. So we have inflation going up, we have interest rates going up, we have cryptos which we're told, hey, are good hedges against inflation going way down. The majority of cryptos out there are down over 70% from their highs in November of 2021. But now we want to get onto Stellar Lumens XLM as a security. This one does have me concerned. Why? Because it has to do with Grayscale. Now, Grayscale is going to have competing interests in this. Their main interest is not the protection of XLM as an asset. Now, I got a quick question for all of you watching. Did you think that cryptos would be a good hedge against inflation? Because that is exactly how it was sold to the majority of us out there. Hey, get into crypto because when inflation happens, people are going to flock to crypto and beat the inflation crash. Well, that seemed all like a big lie, as crypto seemed to be the most riskiest asset class out there and was the first one to sell off as inflation worries went up. So it was actually just the opposite. One of the worst hedges against inflation, and it's actually one of the softest performing asset classes if you match it up to the inflation inflection points. The world's biggest digital asset management firm hinted at the inquiry in its almost unnoticed filings with the SEC in June and 2 weeks ago. This Grayscale filing contained explanations for the trust with XLM, ZEC, and ZEN tokens. These tokens are the native digital assets for Stellar, Zcash, and Horizon blockchains. Here is the problem, though. Notice that the June filing provided additional details about the SEC's inquiries. The SEC's inquiries cast doubts regarding Grayscale's list of brokerage crypto trusts. It also reveals that the financial regulator is becoming more aggressive in its bid to clamp down on its cryptos it's considered security. When Grayscale filed a conversion for these three, they noted that the SEC did not give them any direction on whether any of these are securities. In their most recent filing, though, they left that out, which means the SEC answered them and most likely said, hey, these are securities. The details are found reading between the lines. So back when they originally filed in June, they had those three listed here. Now, in the more recent filing, they do not have those listed, which implies that the SEC reached out to Grayscale. They have not made public what the SEC said, but the SEC reached out to Grayscale and said, hey, those three cryptos that you have listed for trusts, those are securities. That's why we're not approving it. So when Grayscale filed their most recent petition for these, they left that information out. The company's trust business is is based on the assumption that these cryptos aren't securities. Hence, if there is contradictory proof as contained in the new filings, yes, Grayscale may have to stop offering the affected trusts. Grayscale's admittance that ZEC, XLM, and ZEN may be securities based on current facts is a huge shift from its previous stance in May and June whenever it made the same decision. Now let's go big screen and talk implication. Now all the information found in this video will be linked in the description below. I'm going to read you a really quick excerpt, and this is the one that has me scared. The differences in June and August filings also indicate that the SEC is taking the security issues on the tokens mentioned above more seriously. For instance, Grayscale's June filings state that the SEC staff is yet to provide any guidance regarding the security status of XLM, ZEC, and ZEN. However, the new one that was filed in August shows this. Instead, the asset manager stated in its recent filing that it received a memo on the security status of these tokens. However, the filings did not reveal the details. We are sitting here assuming that the SEC said, yep, those three are securities. So now, big picture about this. When we look at Grayscale, Grayscale is looking, hey, what can they do as the bigger business? Now, these three offerings right here only represent $40 million worth of the billions of dollars that are held by Grayscale. So if Grayscale loses the battle with these three, they're not really too worried because their main focus is taking their Bitcoin trust and turning that in an ETF before BlackRock and before all of the other competitors out there. They want to be the first one in the market. So if they take some bumps and bruises with Zcash, XLM, and all those being deemed securities, Grayscale would be okay with that because then they would get guidance on the Bitcoin part of it. What scares me the most about this, though, is the original filing said, hey, the SEC never told us if these three are securities, but in this most recent one, that is completely left out, which means the SEC responded, and most likely 99.999%, the SEC said, hey, guess what? XLM, ZEC, and ZEN are securities. The implications would be big, as this would be the first time we hear specifically of XLM being deemed a security, and that is for an ETF application conversion from a trust. Now, if that is deemed a security, you would have an even bigger uphill battle trying to get XLM regulated by the SEC without calling it a security. Huge implications here, and as more details break, and if Grayscale decides to share what that letter was from the SEC, I will be sure to share that with you. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and if you like this content, I bet you're gonna like this video right here. All right, everyone, take care and have a great rest of your week, even though we know it's the crappy Mondays.